about it like this. Imagine a really complex, dangerous lock. This lock is a poison, and the moment it turns, a clock starts ticking. But what if you had the perfect key? A key with a unique shape designed for that one specific lock that could turn it back and just stop the countdown cold. Well, that key? That's an antidote. So this leads to the million-dollar question, right? For every single poison out there in the world, is there a cure? Is there a key just waiting to be found? You know, the search for these keys is one of the most intense detective stories in all of science. It's a high-stakes race against time, fought right down at the molecular level. Okay, so how does this whole thing actually work? Well, at its core, that relationship between a poison and its antidote really is just like a lock and a key. The poison, the toxin, it latches onto something critical in your body, and it just messes up a vital process. The antidote is that perfectly designed key that comes in to either unlock the poison's grip or block the lock entirely so the poison can't get in. To put it a little more formally, an antidote is basically any substance that can fight back against a type of poisoning. And it can do this in a few different ways. It might stop the poison from ever being absorbed, or it could bind directly to it and just switch it off. Or it can work to directly reverse the damage the poison is already doing to your body. And listen, this isn't just something out of a spy thriller. A lot of times the need for these antidotes starts right in our own homes, in our own medicine cabinets. So let's take a look at some of the most common poisonings that toxicologists deal with every single day. First up is one of the most common, most popular over-the-counter drugs on the planet. I mean, we all use it for pain and fever, but if you take too much, it can be absolutely devastatingly toxic, especially to one very, very important organ. The toxin we're talking about is acetaminophen. In an overdose, it can just overwhelm and destroy the liver. The antidote, acetylcysteine, or NAC for short, is so clever. It doesn't even attack the poison directly. Instead, it works by beefing up the liver's own natural defense squad, specifically a substance called glutathione, which then neutralizes the toxic stuff left behind by the acetaminophen. It is, quite literally, a liver saver. Next, we have to talk about a crisis that has tragically touched so many lives. Opioid overdoses shut down the body's most basic, most fundamental function, the drive to simply breathe. So the solution, the key, has to be incredibly fast, super effective, and easy to get. And that rapid, life-saving antidote is Naloxone. See, when someone overdoses on an opioid like heroin or fentanyl, the drug plugs into these receptors in the brain and basically tells the body to stop breathing. Naloxone has a way stronger attraction to those same receptors. It comes in and literally knocks the opioids right off, reversing the overdose, often in just minutes, and gets the person breathing again. It's an absolute game changer. All right, let's step away from the medicine cabinet now and head out into the great outdoors. Because, you know, nature has its own massive arsenal of powerful toxins, from venomous bites to deadly stings, and each one requires a very, very specific kind of key. Let's take the venom from a crotolline snake, like a rattlesnake. This isn't just one chemical. It's a nasty, complex cocktail of toxins designed to destroy tissue and mess up your blood's ability to clot. The antidote, antivenin, is just incredible. The way they make it is amazing. Scientists give small, non-deadly doses of venom to animals, usually sheep, and their immune systems create antibodies. Those antibodies are then harvested and purified to create the antivenin that goes in and neutralizes the venom molecules in a person who's been bitten. And this process just brilliantly illustrates how incredibly specific this all is. The antivenin for a black widow spider is totally different from the one for a scorpion. And the botulism antitoxin, which fights back against one of the most powerful neurotoxins known to science, is different all over again. Every natural poison needs its own custom-made cure. But what if you don't have that one specific key? What if you're in a situation where you don't even know what the poison is? Well, in toxicology, there are a few incredible substances that act less like a specific key and more like a master key or a universal tool. First on that list is activated charcoal. The absolute best way to think about this stuff is as a kind of molecular sponge. It has this massive surface area with all these tiny little pores that are perfect for trapping a huge variety of different drugs and chemicals. If you swallow it soon after a poison, it just binds onto the toxins right there in the stomach so they can never get absorbed into your bloodstream in the first place. And then there's sodium bicarbonate. Yep, basically baking soda. It is an unbelievable multi-tool in the emergency room. For certain antidepressants, it can actually counteract their toxic effects on the heart. It can also fix dangerously acidic blood caused by poisons like methanol. And it can even help your kidneys get rid of other toxins like aspirin way faster. It's one simple chemical doing a whole bunch of different life-saving jobs. Okay, for our final category, we're going to turn away from nature and look towards the lab and the factory. Now we're talking about industrial chemicals, heavy metals, and some of the most infamous poisons in history. Let's kick things off with a common household product. Antifreeze actually tastes sweet, but it is lethally toxic. And the crazy thing is, the danger isn't even the chemical itself, it's what our body turns it into. So, how in the world do you stop that toxic transformation? Well, ethylene glycol gets broken down by a very specific enzyme into these nasty byproducts that cause kidney failure. The antidote, fomepizole, or hey, in a pinch, even medical-grade ethanol, works by what's called competitive inhibition. It basically keeps that enzyme so busy breaking it down instead that the enzyme has no time to touch the antifreeze. This gives the body time to safely get rid of the ethylene glycol before it can do any harm. It's just a brilliant chemical diversion. A pretty similar strategy is used for heavy metals. Poisons like lead and mercury are so bad because they stick to and shut down vital proteins in our body. The antidotes for these are called chelating agents, and they're like little chemical claws. They literally go in and grab onto the heavy metal ions way more tightly than our body does, forming a new, stable compound that can then be safely filtered out by the kidneys. And finally, the classic of all classics, cyanide. It works by shutting down our cells' ability to use oxygen. It's incredibly fast. The antidotes, like hydroxycobalamin, have to be just as fast. Hydroxycobalamin binds directly to the cyanide ion, and get this, it forms harmless cyanocobalamin, which is just another name for vitamin B12. It's an unbelievably elegant solution to one of the deadliest poisons out there. So when you step back and look at it all, from blocking enzymes to being a molecular sponge, from knocking drugs off receptors to using antibodies from a sheep, the world of antidotes is just an incredible showcase of scientific creativity. Every single one is a story of a poison that we figured out, a lock that we finally managed to pick. And that leaves us with one last, pretty crucial thought. In a world where new drugs, new chemicals, and new threats are always popping up, this race is never really over. The question isn't just whether a key exists for every lock, but how are we going to invent the next generation of keys for the locks we haven't even seen yet?